actually really scared to share my story with you guys today because it's really heartbreaking to me and it's very vulnerable for me. But I think I'm ready to share it because I've kind of gotten to the point in my life where this was 10 years ago, so I can put it in my past and move on with my life, and I can tell the story without crying about it. So I think I'm ready, and along with the fact that according to the news articles that I've been reading, more of Generation Z is choosing to not go to college either because it's too expensive or they just want to take a gap year first and work for a bit before going to college so that they know what they want to do with their lives before committing to something like that. So I think it's become more socially acceptable in our society compared to 10 years ago to not go straight to college, even if you're really smart. So I want to share my story because my story is one that I wished I heard when I was 16 years old, when I made my decision, because I haven't heard someone's story like mine before. You know, it's usually thought of if you don't go straight to college, it's because you couldn't get in or you weren't smart enough or whatever. But I wasn't that case. So I just want to share my story with you guys today. Finance videos coming in the future, but today I just want to do something personal and express myself. This video today isn't scripted, so I'm not really sure how long it's going to end up being, but I just want it to be thorough and detailed so you really understand where I'm coming from when I made my decision and what happened to me after I graduated. So I apologize if it's long, but I hope it's interesting and dramatic enough for you to keep watching. So actually my story started in elementary school. In second grade, I was recommended by my teacher to be put in the gifted and talented program because she thought I was very bright and smart for my age. So from 3rd through 5th grade, I was in the school's gifted and talented program. I was only surrounded by other students in this gifted and talented program. And then for middle school, I didn't want to be surrounded by so many smart people all the time. I just wanted to have a normal childhood. And I asked my dad if I could just go to a normal middle school, but he said no. He insisted that I go to the best public middle school in Brooklyn at that time, and that was Christa McAuliffe IS 187. I didn't want to go, but he forced me to go because with my dad, it's my house, my rules, and when you turn 18, then you can do whatever you want, but as of right now, you have to follow what I say. So I went to Christa McAuliffe, again, also surrounded by very smart and competitive people. My friends, every weekend and weeknight, they had to take private test prep. So in New York City, there's I think 7 specialized high schools, and you need to take an exam to get in. It's solely based on merit. But with my friends, they've been taking all these test prep courses so that they can do really well on this exam and get into a specialized high school. My parents didn't do that for me. What they did instead was they bought a $15 test prep book and told me to study out of that and to just do my best on the exam. So in the end, I took the exam and I had the lowest score out of all my friends. My self-esteem was very shot, but we ended up all going into the same high school anyway, which is Brooklyn Tech. And once we were in Brooklyn Tech, it just became even more competitive. There was a lot of smart people in the school, and I just felt like there was so much pressure to do better than the competition. I mean, I really just wanted to go to a normal high school, but my parents constantly pressuring me to get the best education I can possible. And the thing is, I feel at that time, I just felt like I couldn't relate to anyone because everyone's really smart and everyone wants great grades. Everyone's trying to compete with you to get into the best colleges, right? And so even if I had friends, the friends that I had were always comparing their grades to mine. And actually, despite me having the lowest score on the standardized exam to get into the school, I had the highest grade out of all my friends. In this high school, I was considered the top 5% of my graduating class in terms of grades. They won't tell you exactly which rank you are because out of 50 students in this top 5, out of a whole graduating class of 1,000, if your grade is just 0.01 points higher than someone else, you move up in rank by a lot. The school never revealed who's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, but I did know for sure I was in the top 5%. I ended up maintaining around a 99.8 grade point average throughout my years in high school. I ended up being the president of the Red Cross Club. So when I took over, it had 50 members. And then by the end of the year, I managed to grow the club to 200 members, which was very impressive. I played violin. So I didn't know how to play violin freshman year, but I joined beginner orchestra. And then by my 3rd year, I was in advanced orchestra and I was the leader for the section 2 violins. So, I had like all these curriculars and I had the right grades. So you would think that I'm on track to getting into an Ivy League college and I'd be set for life. But at some point, I thought to myself, well, this is so much pressure. I couldn't handle the pressure. It was a lot of work. I was doing homework all the time. I wasn't really enjoying my life. And I thought to myself, is this really what I want? And I just didn't enjoy learning anymore. I just felt like at the school that I was, Brooklyn Tech, what I was learning, I was just regurgitating the information out. So what year did so-and-so become president? What is the answer to XYZ? I didn't feel like I was truly comprehending what I was learning. Like I didn't feel like the knowledge that I was getting, my learning, it wasn't deep enough. And I didn't get to choose what I wanted to learn. And that was important to me because while all the subjects that I'm given in school are chosen for me, and I just wanted to be able to decide what I wanted to learn, and I didn't have that option. And after all the years of being told that I'm smart and having a grade point average that put me pretty much at the top of my class, I couldn't handle it anymore. Like my self-esteem was very bad because I started to equate my self-esteem to my grade point average. So if I didn't get 100 on a test and instead I got a 96, it wasn't good enough for me. I needed to get 100. I needed to be perfect in order for my self-esteem to be better. I couldn't. And when people talked about me, like when parents and teachers and my friends talked about me, the only thing that they would say about me was, oh, Annie Yang's really smart. Oh, Annie's so smart. Annie's smart this, Annie's smart that. Like I couldn't handle it anymore because I just felt like that's all people knew me for. I wanted to be more than just smart. Like who on earth is Annie? As I grew up, I really wondered, who am I really? Like what are my talents? What are my gifts? What are my passions? I couldn't just be smart. I didn't want to be known as just smart. So these high pressure experiences basically set up the context for the rest of my life. In high school, in my freshman year, I met a boy named Matthew, and he became my boyfriend. We really loved each other, and he just never saw me for my grades. So he made me really happy for that. He never saw me in that way, and I felt really good around him. But my parents were not happy that I had a boyfriend because he was Black. Well, he's not Black, he's West Indian descent. But back then, my parents would just say, he's Black, he's Black. Sorry, please don't dislike this video. I don't mean to paint my parents in a racist way, but that's just what happened. So they didn't like the fact that he was Black, and they took away my cell phone, and they tried to take all the freedoms that I had away from me, and demanded that I come straight home after school and wanted to know my whereabouts at all times. So I resisted because they had always told me like, oh, my house, my rules, after you're 18, then you can do whatever the hell you want, but right now you have to follow what I say. And I was just like, no, I'm not having it. This guy makes me really happy and you can't take him away from me. So my parents would start saying very mean things to me like, oh, well, you know what? We don't actually love you. You were adopted, so you're not our real daughter. They would say mean things like that to me. And I would get really hurt. So at one point I told them that I need to see a psychologist because my self-esteem was really low and I was getting really anxious at the time, very depressed. And so they took me to a psychologist. Psychologist asked me what was wrong. And the problem was basically they wouldn't let me have a boyfriend. And my parents would not come to the therapy sessions. So, it's not just when you go to therapy, you don't just go by yourself. They have you do therapy individually, and then you do therapy as a family. But my parents insisted that I was a black sheep in the family and that I was the problem, not them. So they never came to therapy, just only me. And so at some point, the psychologist couldn't do anything. I mean, there's just nothing you can do if you can't get the parents involved to help. So instead, he did an IQ test on me because he was just shocked by how smart I was. Again, with the smart thing. Didn't really help. He just really wanted to find out what my IQ score was. And then later on, I think my parents, they threatened to abandon me. So they said, if you don't break up with your boyfriend, Matthew, then we're going to kick you out of the house and we're not going to let you back in. And I Googled it and I was like, oh, that's abandonment. And oh my gosh, that's illegal. So I called Child Protection Services on them. And when they opened up a case and asked my parents, is it true? Did you threaten to kick her out and, not let her back in? And they said, yeah. And so they had to open a case. And they asked my parents, like, what's wrong with your daughter? Does she smoke? No. Does she drink? No. Is she getting involved with the wrong crowd? No. Like, how are her grades in school? Oh, they're excellent. She's outstanding. Oh, so what's the problem? Oh, her boyfriend is black and we don't like that. And the thing is, the case manager was black. So she was just in total shock. And she's just like, do you have any other problems with your daughter? Oh, she always slams the door too loud and that's really annoying. And she just looked at my parents and was like, girlfriend, if I had a daughter like yours, I would kill to have a daughter like yours. But my parents just wouldn't listen. Again, with this whole CPS case, I was the one who went to therapy. My parents never went to therapy, so nothing was working. And then at some point, my parents pretty much lost hope in me and wanted to financially manipulate me by saying, oh, if you don't break up with Matthew, then we're not gonna pay for college. And me being really feisty, and I was very sick of, not having an appendix, I said, oh, you're not gonna pay for college? Then I just won't go. And when I said that, I really meant it. It wasn't just a thing to me. It was really like, I'm not gonna go. I don't want to take any money from you just so that you can control the decisions that I make in my life. So that's why even when I had a boyfriend and they took my cell phone away, I said, oh, you don't let me have a cell phone? Great, I'll just have a secondhand cell phone from Matthew's brother and I'll use my allowance to pay for my own cell phone bill. So that way, you're not paying for it, then it's not yours. Oh, you don't want to pay for my haircuts? Okay, I'll just learn to cut my own hair. Oh, well, I have to use my own allowance to buy pads? Okay, I'll just learn to really budget my own money, So I just got really good at managing my money because I didn't want my parents to make my decisions for me anymore. Fast forward a year later, Matthew and I broke up, but I got a second boyfriend, and this time he's a banana. So my parents are much happier with him. Yellow on the outside and white on the inside. He didn't understand a lick of Chinese, but it didn't matter. He looked the part, so my parents were very happy. So this guy, there's something interesting. So he did something, he put his hand out and he told me to visualize a ball on his hand and to visualize the ball moving. And I could choose however the ball was moving and he would tell me what I was doing with the ball. So I visualized a ball bouncing up and down and rolling on his hand, rolling in circles, various things. And he told me exactly what I did with the ball in the order that I did them. And I was very taken aback when he did this to me. And he told me that that's energy manipulation. And I've never been exposed to something like this before. So it was very intriguing and interesting to me that something like this existed. So I wanted to learn more. So after that experience, and this is all still in high school, by the way, after that experience, I was like, wow, there's this whole life outside of school that I don't know about, that I've never been exposed to. And this seems really interesting and I think I want to pursue it. So I started taking free introductory classes at the New York Open Center, classes like yoga and qigong, Reiki, meditation classes. I was really into holistic health back then because I thought, well, is this something that I'm passionate about? Is this something I want to pursue? And I also came across blogs like zenhabits.net, theminimalists.com, manversusdebt.com, and I think stevepavlina.com. And these are all people who had graduated from college and, worked a corporate career, decided it wasn't for them, sold their belongings, and decided to choose whatever life they wanted to live, And I thought to myself, wow, this is really different, Is there really more to life than just going straight to a prestigious university to end up working at a corporate job and then just retiring? Like, when I was exposed to these different lifestyles that people had, I thought to myself, wow, that seems like really enticing and nice, and I think I want that for myself. Maybe I really don't have to go straight to college after all, it felt like a true escape for me. Maybe I can just buy a house on the top of a mountain and live a quiet life there. That seemed really, really attractive to me. Then in junior year of high school, I had a brand new guidance counselor who just started working at my school, and she's Miss G. And Miss G asked me what plans I had for college. Where did I plan to go? What major I was interested in, and I said, oh, I don't plan to go at all. And she had looked at my transcript and she said, what? You're president of Red Cross and you have all these A's, like how could you not go? You're just gonna throw all of it away? And I said, I don't think I'm throwing it all away, but I also think I've spent my whole life in school and I don't even know what my passions are. I don't really know what I'm good at besides academics. I don't know what my talents, my gifts are, and I want to be able to, earn some money, probably travel a little bit, and figure out who I really am and what I really care about. And she just wasn't having it. And I asked her, well, are there some alternatives I can, pursue besides going to college? Are there some sort of programs? Are there some jobs that I can pursue that don't require a college degree? And she didn't have any answers for me. She wasn't very helpful at all. Miss G became seriously invested in trying to change my mind and convinced me that my ideas were wrong and that college really was the right path for me because my grades were just so outstanding and I had the extracurriculars to go for it. So I just wasn't having it, but she also wasn't having it either. So we had hour-long sessions, guidance counseling sessions, where she would try to convince me otherwise. And I would retort back statistics that I read in the news, like, oh, hey, well, the average college graduate graduates with $30,000 in debt, Or I would say only half of the people who start college end up finishing. So half of the people who don't finish, they still have to pay back their student loan debt. And they don't have a degree to go with it. Or I would say things like, only half of the people who do end up graduating are employed in the major that they studied in. And the other half are either unemployed or underemployed. This was back in 2012, 2013. So it was common for people to be unemployed or underemployed because we were just coming out of the recession. So I thought it was actually a very risky decision based on these statistics for me to go to college, rack up debt, just for me to end up boomeranging back home to my parents who wanted to manipulate me with financial strings and ties, I didn't want that for myself. I wanted to be able to earn money, save up, move out, and never come back. I wanted to have independence, and it didn't make sense for me because if I had student loan debt, I would never be free. I would never, ever be free. So in the end, Brooklyn Tech that year had, instead of a college acceptance rate of 100%, their college acceptance rate was only 99.9% because I was the 0.1% that didn't even apply to any colleges, and therefore I didn't get into any colleges. So what happened after high school? I worked a whole string of minimum wage jobs from 18 to 20 years old. Somewhere along the time of my first job at 18, I came across NightingaleConant.com, which is a publishing company for personal development. And I don't know, but I must have came across Dave Ramsey through NightingaleConant.com. But I couldn't afford any of the products that Nightingale Conant sold. I was, pretty much dirt poor and working minimum wage. So I pirated Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University course. and I took it to heart. And I thought to myself, wow, all these people who make more money than me, they're really bad at managing their money. I think I need to manage my money really well. So from my very first job, actually, I was saving 50% of my income. So if in a month I made $1,000, I was saving $500. And over the course of a year, that's $6,000. After 2 years, at 20 years old, I had around $10,000 saved up. And I looked at like how much I saved, and I was like, that's enough money for me to put down a down payment to move out, get my own place, have roommates, but still out of my parents' house. So that's exactly what I did. I moved out. But still, during that time, I was a little depressed. I was stuck in a pretty abusive and manipulative relationship where my boyfriend at the time, I always felt like I was living in his shadow. So he was studying to end up going to medical school to become a doctor and make lots of money. So I always felt like, well, I'll be on the supportive side. If he wanted something, I would buy it for him. And he would complain that he was feeling insecure, so he needed money to make himself happy. So I would say, oh, don't worry about it. I'll give you 1% of every paycheck that I got. Stupid me, I know. Oh, you feel like you look ugly? Okay, I'll buy you this gorgeous winter coat for $300. Oh, you need like a brand new laptop because your current laptop is too slow for you, and unless you have a really fast MacBook Pro, you're not gonna get a straight A in class? Okay, great. I'll start saving up to buy you a laptop. I was so stupid, but like I really, don't do that with your money, guys. But anyway, so he ended up molesting my 13-year-old sister and going to jail for 3 days. And my parents had to put a restraining order on him. I was very shocked by what happened. And when I heard that he did that, something in me just snapped. I cracked. I couldn't handle it. He was like the one person that I trusted, the one I could tell all my secrets to, and he couldn't be trusted. About 3 days after this entire incident happened, I was working at a hardware store at the time, and we had a customer come in to buy kitchen cabinets. And she was a self-made millionaire. And all I did was say hi to her dog, which I thought was really cute. But for some reason or another, I don't know why, she took an interest in me. And she wanted to give me a job. And I went to that job interview, but and she asked me for where I went to college, and I said I didn't go. And she said to me I came across as really smart, so it's kind of shocking to her why I didn't go. And I told her, well, I have various reasons why I didn't go. But all of a sudden, I just started bawling, like I was crying. It was very embarrassing to cry in front of someone I just met who wanted to give me a job. In the end, she didn't give me the job, but she asked me what happened, and I told her my boyfriend molested my sister and went to jail. And now I have no one in this world who I can trust. And then she took me out to dinner that day and wanted to listen to my story. And then after listening to my story, and for the record, she's the first adult in my life to have ever wanted to listen to my side of the story and treat me like she's my grandma. And she told me you should go to community college. So, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm crying. Okay, so I applied to community college the next day, and I got in. And that day, I applied. I made the resolve, like, you know what, this guy who I really trusted, and I was gonna be in the shadow, just only be on the supportive side. I'm going to be the main hero in my life. I'm not gonna be in someone's shadow. He's gonna be a doctor. Oh yeah, just watch. I'm going to go to college, and I am going to make something of myself. I'm going to be so successful. He's going to regret ever doing this to me and breaking up with me. In my eyes at the time, success is truly the best revenge. So I made the resolve that day. I'm going to be wildly successful, more successful than this guy. I'm gonna have more pieces of paper to my name than him. I'm going to have more friends than him. I'm going to be more famous and popular than him. I'm going to have a happy marriage, all these great things for myself, and all without him. And he's gonna, look back 10 years from now and wonder, like, who did I let go? Like, I had her in my arms and I didn't even appreciate her. So, I went to community college, did very well, and then I came across something called DIYdegree.com by Jay Cross, and the website no longer exists. But his website was all about testing out of college, and I thought that was really interesting. So I bought his $300 course to learn how to test out of college, and I talked about, how to test out of college in my previous YouTube videos, but I decided, there's a way to test out of college for cheap and still get a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution. I'm gonna try this. And I actually did. Like, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 2 years instead of 4 because I tested out of college. And people were like asking me at the time when I decided to do this, like, are you sure? Like, no one knows the name of your school. It's not really prestigious. No one's ever heard of it. And besides, is it even legit? And I told them, like, well, if someone doesn't think like my degree is prestigious enough, do I even want to work with these kind of people? Like, those kind of people I think are very superficial, and I don't want to associate with people who are like that. And I want to be able to tell my future employer, like, hey, I was like totally self-taught for my degree, and it just shows that I have initiative and the self-discipline to be able to sit down and learn rather than having, all the information spoon-fed to me like I was in K through 12. I didn't like having stuff spoon-fed to me. I wanted to go as deep as I wanted in a subject and to be able to dictate how I learn, So that, like, testing out of college was perfect for me. I ended up graduating with a bachelor's degree in communications from Thomas Edison State University. And today I work in accounting. So yes, I'm another statistic. I work in a field that's not even related to my major, but I actually work in a field that's more difficult than my major. I'm totally self-taught in accounting. I never took an accounting course in college. I just read a lot of books, a lot of articles on accounting, and watched Udemy videos. So that's my education in accounting, but I still managed to get accounting jobs. So started out as a bookkeeper, and then I wanted to learn more. So every time I came across a problem, I was like, how do I learn how to do this? So my experience and learning was very practical. So very practical minded, not theoretical at all. Sometime after I graduated, and I don't remember exactly when, but I came across an article that was titled "Why Smart People Can't Get Jobs." And it was very intriguing to me because it said something about people, they go to school, they get a degree, and all the knowledge that they had was very theoretical. And employers today, when they're looking to hire, they're complaining that the candidates that they have in their search pool, they don't have skills. And I thought to myself, skills? Like, what does that really mean? So I set out, after I read that article, I set out to become skilled so that I could beat my competition when it comes to landing jobs. So I spend, and I still spend today, so I've been doing this for a few years. I spend between 1 hour and 3 hours a day learning a new skill. And the skills they're not necessarily like technical skills. I'll learn anything. I've accumulated a number of skills that are very soft in nature. So how to negotiate, how to have great manners. So I remember I was reading the Emily Post book on manners, how to build your personal brand, how to have an impressive LinkedIn profile, how to have a great resume, how to interview extremely well so that you can get the job, how to do public speaking, how to speak on camera, how to build a successful YouTube channel, how to write a book. I came across a workshop. I was in a sales pitch. Someone sold this to me. How to publish a book and grow rich. And they were selling this workshop for $97 at the time. And they said, but wait, if you buy now, then for $97, you can even invite a friend for free. So I turned to someone in the audience next to me, the stranger, and asked her, hey, are you interested in writing and publishing a book? She said, yes. I said, hey, so since it's $97 and it's a bit expensive for me, do you want to like split the cost in half so that we could go together? And she said, sure. So I ended up getting the course, the workshop for like $47 or so. And I took it. I ended up taking it, and that is how I learned to write my first book, 1001 Ways to Save Money. Quit flushing your hard-earned money down the toilet, which I wrote and published in 3 months because the workshop was all about how to write and publish a book in 40 hours. So how to write the book in 40 hours. So I did that. I wrote it in 3 months, got it out there. And actually, this book has opened up more doors for me than my college degree, because people find it more like impressive and interesting that I wrote a book than where I went to college, apparently. And so I've gotten a lot of callbacks for interviews because I wrote a book. And that was only like 3 months of my life compared to 2. My current boss was the same way when he interviewed me and hired me. So he was very impressed with the fact that I wrote a book and I had a YouTube channel that was growing very fast because I made like a video on how to save money on low income that just took off, and it was the first video I ever made. So he was very impressed by that. So during my interview, he asked me about my education, and I told him, oh yeah, my education, it's like that last line right there on the bottom, and it's one line only, and it doesn't speak for me. It's just a little part of me, but it's not who I really am. You know, I'm more than just where I went to school, I told him, and I have a lot of skills and value to bring to a company. And he kept asking me what was the number that I wanted for my salary. I told him that I wanted an offer that reflected the value that he thought I brought to his company. And so he tried to change the question, because I did tell him during the interview that the reason I was looking for a new job was because I wanted to buy a house. So I needed to meet the requirements for the debt to income ratio. And I told him I needed $70,000 to be able to get the mortgage based on my calculations and my budgeting. And he said, no problem. And the next day he gave me a job offer that was much more than that, to my surprise. So of course I took the job. And yeah, things are going really well for me, guys. This year, so last month, I just took on 2 new clients on the side. So with my job and the income I've already generated on the side and these 2 new clients, if I just land 1 or 2 more clients in addition to this for the rest of the year, I'm on track to making $100,000 this year. So I'm very happy with the way that my life turned out. I'm so happy that I know what my passions are today. I know what my gifts are, my talents that I can share with the world. And I'm not just smart. You know, I'm more than just smart. I have a very well-rounded personality and character, and I'm interesting and unique, and I couldn't have had it any other way. I don't apologize for who I am or the life decisions that I've chosen to take. You know, I take full responsibility for the decisions that I chose and the consequences that came with it. And things have worked out very well for me. And I want to say, I never got a chance to really say this to you guys, but thank you so much for watching my videos and, you know, following me and being supportive and buying my book and stuff like that. It's really made a difference in my life. And actually, like, I take the ad revenue that I got from YouTube. I started making ad revenue from the very first video, actually, and I take that money and I use that to pay for a graphic designer and to pay for an English transcriptionist, so that every video has subtitles, so people who are deaf are also able to watch my videos and get the content. And I wouldn't be able to do that without you guys, you know? All that ad revenue goes to pay to put food on other people's table. And with all the book sales that I've made in the last year, I was able to hire an editor. So that's also, you know, to pay for someone else who will put food on her table. So I'm slowly building the life that I want, and I'm getting paid for my talents. I'm very, very happy, guys. So just thank you so much.